Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new Cedar Flags. If you've been around the channel for a while, you may have noticed a slight absence in videos and content, but I don't want to get too much into that. There were some things going on kind of beyond my control, so if you want to talk more about that kind of stuff, go ahead and head over to my Discord or follow me on Twitter for updates along those lines. But no, the series isn't dead, the channel's not dead, we are still here, and we are finally back to work here in Cedar Flags. We, in this video, need to work on the station building for our brand new B&M invert, which is tentatively named Forge at the moment. I am still kind of on the fence about that, so if you guys want to have any more input into the naming of this, by the end of this episode, you guys will kind of see where we're going. We still have a long way to go on this, so it's going to be at least another few streams, I think, before we can get that on-ride cinematic video done. But yeah, we have a lot of work to do. This video is only going to be focusing on pretty much just building the building around the station, and it is a fairly large building. I think it's probably the largest station building that I've built in this game so far, so it is a doozy, and it is pretty cool in the end. I really love how this building comes out. If you couldn't tell by the thumbnail of the video, we're going for a very industrial look, so you'll see that take shape here. But yes, we have a lot of work to do around this area by the end of this episode, so we still have a lot of stuff to do, and I still haven't decided if I want to do that in another episode or if I maybe just want to do like a live stream. And if I do that, I might just do it over here on YouTube. So yeah, we have a lot of track supports that we have to do, like custom supports. I don't necessarily know if I want to put that into its own like time-lapse video, so we may end up doing that live, and if I do that, I will do that over here on YouTube. So we'll probably schedule a time for that on the weekend. So I like to try to get earlier streams on the weekends for the people over in Europe who like to watch me build stuff. So yeah, keep an eye on your subscription box because you will get notified when I schedule that. Again, always follow me on the Twitter and on my Discord. I always post when my tentative schedules are for live streams and that kind of work. So yeah, taking care of that now. What have we been doing here? Well, we have been sketching out this building, and like I said, this is a very, very large building. So this took I don't know, it took a lot of effort to try to like sketch it out. I remember doing this on a live stream, and we got a bulk like part of the building done, and then by the end of just like trying to lay this all out, I was pretty exhausted. So it was just like a mental day where I was just too tired to do this, and then by the end of this, it was just like too much just planning, and we came back to it later and we worked some details out. So yeah, the general sketch in this front half of this time lapse comes together, and it's pretty good, but then we go and refine it a little bit more. But yes, as you can kind of see, we actually were, I think I had a reference photo opened up for this, so I really wanted to get like one of those old time factories, not old time, but like turn of the century type factories, all brick, and then you'll notice that we have those archways that are then bricked up behind them. So I've noticed this with a lot of the factory type buildings that I was kind of going for with this build. A lot of times it looks like they were built with like windows, and then eventually they decided they didn't need those windows, or something happened where they just kind of boarded them up behind. So really we achieved that look with this. We will end up tweaking this a little bit more later on in the time lapse. But then again, I'm not really sure. Maybe they were always built without the windows and this was like a design choice, or maybe they intended to possibly be able to go through and put windows back in later. I'm not really sure about that, so if any of you guys know, go ahead and let me know in the comments section. But yeah, we really achieved that look here. It looks pretty cool. Like I said, we're gonna go through a little bit later here and change out the bricks, so it gives it a little bit more depth, and it's gonna actually look a little bit better a little later on. Right now, like I said, this is a very rough sketch of this building, and really, as I was building this, we kind of decided, me and the live chat, we decided this was almost like a school building in a way. So really up front in this build, it looks very, very generic. So this could have went a lot of different ways, but yeah, we eventually end up with a very cool looking factory. And you'll notice on the top of the roof on the one part, we have some chimneys up there, and one of those chimneys is the support structure for that part of the track. So that's one thing that I really planned on, I think really early on, is to integrate that into this build. But yeah, we have a lot of custom work to do yet on the track itself. The track is done at this point, but we just have a lot of custom supports that need to be done, and we really couldn't start doing that until we had the scenery kind of planned out around the area. I didn't want to start putting supports down and then all of a sudden like I needed to build the building there, and it just wasn't going to work. So now that we have the building sketched out by the end of this, we can then go through and actually I think what we'll probably do is do a little bit more scenery work around the building, because like I said, at the end of this episode, we don't have a lot of scenery on the outside. So we have a lot of room to play with, and I really wanted to keep incorporating some of those industrial feelings out and in the like surrounding area just right next to the ride. So I'm thinking maybe we'll do some like, I don't know if I want to do like molten lava pits or something like that, although that's along the lines of what I was kind of thinking for this, so we may end up with that kind of feel. But yeah, we have a lot of that left to do. But yeah, this building, for the most part, I think portrays a great factory feel. So I'm really looking forward to what you guys think at the end of this one. I really love how this turns out. This is a very, like I said, it's a very simple building. A lot of these factory buildings were very plain and just functional. You know, they weren't designed with like a great aesthetic in mind. They weren't supposed to be these showpieces. They were just built because, you know, the factory needed the space and they just built around that space, and it was really function over form. But there are a few little things here and there toward the end of this build, the little bit of detail work that we do here and there that just makes this build so nice. You know, it's still that influence of the factory, but it's really still a really nice building to have in the park. It's not just like something that we found and we ended up building a ride around it, you know? So yeah, that was a really weird line to kind of draw here. So it's at one point, I think I actually take the entire roof for this main section over the station down a little bit. Like it was too tall. Like stepping back in the park, it looked like it was just overwhelming. I really didn't want this building to look like it was just supposed to be like overwhelming everything. I wanted this to be really just like an accent to the theming around this ride. So I think we achieved that, but then again, like I said, I guess you guys can be the judges of that. But yeah, we're just going around still tweaking some of the layout here. I really love the little, I think these are wooden pieces that we do for these entrances here. It's a really interesting contrast because we could have really easily gone with just bricks around this entire area. But a lot of times in these sort of buildings, you had the main structures of brick, and then you had supporting areas that were, it almost felt like they were thrown on later, and they were just like, oh man, we actually need an employee entrance. Let's just build that out of cheap materials because, like I said, it's just functional at this point. So a little interesting area as you walk in and out of this ride. The entrance to the ride is under the Cobra roll, as you guys probably remember. The exit to this ride is actually going to come out the one side of the building you just saw, but we're also going to add another element to the exit later on. Also, you may have noticed that we went through and changed these boarded up windows to what I think these were like the Asian theme pieces. It worked out really well because those archways covered a lot of the wood pieces around it, and it really just came out with this like paneled look, and it really looks awesome. It really looks like we just boarded those up just to make sure the wind doesn't get in, and it really came out pretty cool. But yeah, those look awesome. And like I said, those give a little bit more contrast than just the brick within the brick look that we started out with. At this point, the building's pretty much coming together here. You're seeing a pretty final layout and pretty final materials that we have going on here. We're still trying to work with the exit. This was kind of weird. I tried working with these garages over here, and I was fully intending on maybe putting like some sort of shop in there. I think this would be a really cool gift shop area for this ride in like a garage attached to the factory building. By the end of this, I could not get that to work for whatever reason. The pathing was just not having it. So in the end, we end up closing those garages out, and we end up just making them part of the scenery. There's a few little areas like that in this ride where we probably, it's almost too close to the pedestrian path, and we don't have a lot of room for like other scenery to go in there. So we're gonna have to work around that a little bit moving forward here. We're probably going to want to put some trucks in and some industrial type things. And then we also want to go ahead and grab influence from all of the other industrial feeling pipes and stuff that we've been doing in this area. So a lot of work still left to do to blend this area in. I don't know how much foliage we're going to be doing over here either, because you guys know how much I love landscape work. This is very industrial. And by definition, I guess the industrial areas wouldn't have a lot of just like overgrowth. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm almost scared to see like how this is going to come out. I'm just at this point, I'm not really sure what we're going to do with a lot of this stuff, but I can almost guarantee in the end we're going to end up nailing it. So it should be pretty cool. But we're just moving around here, trying to incorporate those garage doors. We've been working with these garage doors since the Cedar Speedway build, and they just look so good, and they've looked great every time we used them. So we're adding little spaces here and there on this building. There's a lot of room on this building for just like blank space. So adding those garage doors and little tiny brickwork details ends up making it so much better and more interesting. I mean, this building's not supposed to be interesting. Like I said, it's not like a aesthetically pleasing building, but it just should have those details so it doesn't look super boring. So we're adding a little bit of detail work outside of the front of this building. This is the main path is right here, and the exit to the ride is actually going to sweep around this this side of the ride. You're noticing a little bit of brickwork here, and I am very, very proud of how these came out. This was such an interesting spot to do something like this, and it worked really well. You noticed that I went through and I did these brick columns to try to make the garage doors work, and that worked, but then I ended up using these brick columns as detail pieces for the ride. So this is really awesome. Instead of having a really flat wall over here, we have now this little interesting, like, something that draws the eye to it, because there's a little bit of a slope to those the top of those columns, and it just looks so good. And I guess I should mention that the station for this ride is entirely inside the building here, but I did want to keep the final brake run and the transfer track area not enclosed. So it is roofed, but it does not have a full like enclosure around it. And I just thought it would end up making the ride a little bit cooler watching it from the outside. Like, as you can see that train come into the building, you're not like just losing it behind a wall. You're watching it slow down and then eventually go into the building. And it's really cool. So it's a really nice open air concept. I've noticed a lot of rides, or I might be just making this up, but I did notice a few of the B&M inverts, the brake runs were enclosed like this. They kind of had a roof over them, but for the most part, you could see them when you were outside of the ride. So we're moving around the building here, and we're adding this second way to get off of this ride. And to my amazement, this pathing worked. Like, you saw how tight it was in there. We have pathing, we have the queue going up over this, really close to it. We have the station itself really close to it, and all of this building is here. So it was really, I didn't think this was gonna work, but then I tried it and it did work. So yeah, we have two ways to exit this ride, and this path over here is really cool because we haven't built that area just yet. So there's a lot of room over there to just, it could have gone a lot of different ways. So I like having that path going that way because it kind of guides the next build to like have to work with that. So it moves forward in the construction of this. We're moving forward. We're gonna have to actually go through and connect that up in a good way. So it is gonna be pretty cool. You saw that lower garage. We ended up putting some concrete slabs down there. I'm thinking that's gonna be some sort of yard with some sort of trucks or something down there. Like I said, we have a lot of room around this ride, and we're gonna have to theme it out for the most part in different ways, and it's gonna be a bit of a challenge because like I said, I'm kind of like drawing a blank as to what to do with a lot of this area. So we're gonna try to keep the industrial field down. We might do some sort of just stockpile areas with like metal, just raw material type stuff over there. So that could be cool. So it should be interesting. I'm thinking like some sort of crane system might be okay as well. But like I said, it's just going to be tough to do. But I guess I'm up for the challenge at this point. And I'm actually looking forward to getting back into this game. Like I said, I had a little bit of a hiatus there. And for the most part, like even though it wasn't necessarily my choice to have to take a break, I just really wasn't feeling like gaming in general, but I've gotten over that and I'm back into gaming pretty hard now. So yeah, I have the drive back into Planet Coaster, and I'm just actually really excited because I guess I haven't been able to talk about this, but Planet Zoo is coming out at some point. I'm fully planning on doing some sort of series for that as well, but we will be finishing Cedar Flags before then. So I now have like a hard deadline to try to get Cedar Flags done with before Planet Zoo comes out later this year. So we're gonna have a lot of work to do, but we're gonna try to make it happen. And the next series, I guess, we're gonna take a look at Planet Zoo. We'll see how that goes. Let me know in the comments if you're excited for Planet Zoo. I know a lot of people who are doing Planet Coaster series on YouTube are really getting into Planet Zoo, and it has potential. I also see it maybe not being as popular as Planet Coaster though too, because you know, in Planet Coaster you have the roller coasters. That's a huge draw, but in Planet Zoo, like, you have the animals, but it's really gonna hinge a lot on the management side of that game. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping it's gonna be a really good game, and I'm hoping you guys are gonna enjoy any sort of series that we end up doing on the channel. But yeah, like I said, we have a long way to go in Cedar Flags, and we got to get this done before Planet Zoo comes out. And for those of you wondering if you are still a fan of City Skylines, I still want to do another series on that, and they actually just announced another expansion. So yeah, that game is still going strong. So at some point, I'd love to hop back over into that game and start playing that again. So a lot of things planned out here on the channel. I'd also maybe like to just do a Let's Play at some point of just something different, something not necessarily design centric, but something more tycoon game, because I grew up loving tycoon games. I'd love to get into one of those on like a Let's Play, and I've been talking about that for a while too. So eventually I'd like to see that happen, but we'll see where that goes. But yeah, like I said, the future is bright for the channel, and I am looking forward to it. So as I've been rambling on here, you've seen a little bit of work going on the brake run. We needed to support that ride somehow, and we had deleted the generated supports, so we integrated that into the building there with some heavy duty steel, and I think I got the transfer track on this ride pretty accurate. So if any of you coaster enthusiasts out there know, go ahead and let me know if that was the correct way. It's really hard to find like videos and just pictures in general of the B&M invert transfer tracks, or actually it's kind of tough to find transfer tracks in general. You know, like if you type in Google just like roller coaster transfer tracks, you'll get a mix of things, but if you want to search specifically for like a certain brand or a certain company's transfer tracks, it's kind of tough to do. So yeah, I think I got these down. And the final thing that we're doing here in this time lapse is the bigger tanks over on the side. This is moving forward what we kind of want to start doing over here. Like I said, I wanted to integrate some of the pipe work back over to here. So this whole area has been built around these pipes and like just like pressure, or I would guess water tanks or maybe steam tanks or something like that. So we've been working on that, so I really wanted to integrate that over here, and this is like the originating spot for all these pipes, I would think, are these massive tanks. So it works out, and yeah, I guess this is pretty much it for this time lapse. Let's go ahead and flip over to the live portion, and we'll see what we just did, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what we're doing in the future of Cedar Flags. All right, guys, we are live back here in Cedar Flags, and we are looking at what we just built, and that is that beautiful old factory style building around our station here. Now, you may notice that there are a few things here that are different that you didn't see in the time lapse, and that is because the last time I went to record this, ooh, that scared me actually. The last time I went to record this, I got this far and then a little farther actually, and then my computer crashed. So I didn't get any of the footage that I worked on, and I actually lost a little bit of progress. I was actually in the middle of very annoyingly putting these fences on, and yeah, computer froze up, and all was lost. So that's a little unfortunate, but you really didn't miss too much. There was a little bit of nature work there, so you guys have seen me do that before. So yeah, I mean, this building is pretty cool, and like I said in the time lapse, I wanted it to be there. I wanted the coaster to be the most predominant thing that you see when you step back and see this coaster. So the station building is here as, you know, something for the guests as they're walking through the queue to experience, if you will. So as you can see, the building isn't like super tall. It isn't as big as it probably could be if you were going on like a real world scale for a factory, but it incorporates those chimneys up there pretty well, and it's really cool to see the train go down and over that, just over top of the station. It's still prevalent and it's still awesome. So it's a really cool design, I think. So I'm looking to you guys. Do you guys like what we did here or not? Let me know in the comments, or let me know with a thumbs up if you like it. Yeah, like I said, there's a little bit of stuff that we have to, actually no, there's a lot of stuff that we have to do around the area. We have these giant tanks, we have some water tanks, we have all of these pipes working again around this area. We could probably incorporate more of them because, as you can probably remember, there are a lot of these just around the area. So more of these over here would probably be a good thing, and then maybe some within the other areas down here. So yeah, there's a lot of different things that we have yet to do, and of course we got to incorporate the nature around this area, and really building out the rest of this is going to be really cool. I'm actually planning on taking this down to like that level and then having another section for some rides in here, so really different tiers of path work. I love that, and I'm gonna really like how this works with this giant sweeping turn down here. We have a lot of custom support work to do. We're gonna have to do that. This is gonna be a lot of, well, it's going to be a pain, so I'm looking forward to trying to figure that out. And like I said, I'm going to be doing that in a live stream, so if you guys want to help me out, and actually I'm going to need you guys to help me out to make sure I do things properly, look for the live stream. I'm going to post that on Twitter, so follow me. But that's just about going to wrap this episode up for the most part. So guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know any feedback, anything you want to see around this coaster. Let me know down in the comments. Thumbs up if you like this one, thumbs down if you didn't. I am on Twitter at DeekFTW. I'm also on Patreon at patreon.com/DeekFTW. So guys, I will see you in the next episode.